Good morning, happy Wednesday, everybody. I know so much of the country is dealing with snow and cold weather, but today we're going to have record-breaking heat in California. It's going to be 86 degrees in the town I live in, which is insane this time of year. So anyway, very, very fortunate and lucky to have California weather. That's good. So many of you may know I am reading the book Mary Kay on People Management, and I'm doing it as a training thing, and it's on my YouTube channel. So if you go on YouTube and you type in Diane, D-I-A-N-E, Covington, which is spelled C-O-V as in Victor, I-N-G-T-O-N, and you can subscribe to my channel if you want, and you'll see that I've got Mary Kay's book on people management. Now, the reason I love this book, I haven't read it in probably 10 years, to be honest with you, and it is required reading, or used to be, I don't know if it still is, but it's the FBI Management Academy. Our former neighbor was an FBI agent, and when he got to the Leadership Academy, he texted me and said, "You won't believe what I'm having to read." And I jokingly said something like, "What, a grammar book on how to spell or something?" And he goes, "No, Mary Kay's book on people management." I thought that was very interesting. It was at one point required reading at Stanford Business School and Harvard Business School. So we've been taking it 3 chapters a week and just kind of discussing it and going through things. So one of the chapters that I talked about last night was all on having people support a change. So let me give you a Mary Kay example. So let's say they're going to change the miracle set. You know, they're not, so don't freak out. But let's just say hypothetically they're going to change the miracle set. If they came and asked you, you know, what could we do better? Do you want it thinner? Do you want it thicker? In fact, the miracle set's a great thing to pick because back in the day, we used to have cleanser, moisturizer, day solution, night solution, right? And then they came in and they revamped it, and they gave us a day moisturizer and a night moisturizer, and it was much thicker, and a lot of people were very resistant to the change, to the point where so many people wrote in that they went back to having cleanser, moisturizer, now they call it day defender and night recovery. But the point I'm bringing to you is, let's say you've got a team member. What I will tell you is that if you are setting a goal, all right, and this month is March, so let's talk about the core opportunity really quick. It is $10 to start a Mary Kay business, which in my opinion is insane. So I'm wondering, who in your life do you know that you think would be great at this? Now, some of you are going to hear that, roll your eyes and say, none of my friends are interested in joining. I already know. I've already talked to them. They don't want to do it. My cousin, my daughter, none of them are interested. Well, what are they not interested in? Do they not want to make money? Do they not want to build self-esteem and self-confidence? Do they not want to have an opportunity to make an impact? So we as humans all resist change. Would you agree with that? So if you go to, let's just say it's your niece, and say, I really think you'd be great at this. You could fit it in here, and you could do this, and you could do that, and you could do all this stuff. If she's not interested in making a change, she's going to resist. It doesn't make any difference what you offer her. She could be a chef. She could be a dog sitter. Like, if she's not open to the possibilities of doing something else, she's going to resist change, right? But what if, just like the chapter in the book last night, what if your conversation with her could be different? So I'm going to ask you to grab a piece of paper, unless you're driving, and I want you to write numbers 1 through 5, and we're going to come up with 5 names. I want you to think about, now just pretend that everyone's going to be excited to talk to you. So that right there, we're not going to go over that, well, she's not interested stuff, right? So who do you have in your life that is very loyal to the Mary Kay product? You must have a customer that's like, our eye makeup remover is the only one she will use, or our charcoal mask, she buys one every 3 months, like clockwork. Even if she's not on skincare, who do you have as a client that's very, very loyal to a product? Maybe she's really loyal to, I've got a client that would kill if I walked away with her CC cream and her primer. She's like, she's tried every brand under the sun, and ours is the only CC cream and primer she likes. So write down those names, and it might be more than one person you think of. Then I want you to think of who in the last 6 months has spent the most money with you. Maybe she bought a repair set and a set of microderm, or maybe she's whatever, but who maybe 1 or 2 people who spent the most money with you, okay? Then I want you to think of who do you know who's got little ones at home, maybe newborns, maybe toddlers. They could be working full-time, part-time, or maybe they're a stay-at-home mom. So who do you know who's got little ones at home? All right. Who do you know that's getting near retirement? I'm going to say over 55 and over. Who do you have in your life that is 55 and over? And it might be a girlfriend that's super positive and super fun, and you just think of them, even if she's not a customer, but just put her down, okay? And then I want you to think of who do you know who is maybe, like I met a woman last night. She is wired to be an entrepreneur. I said, what do you do? She goes, well, I used to work at the Macy's cosmetic counter. And I said, oh, really? What do you do now? She goes, well, I have a dog sitting business. I have this business. I mean, she has like 3 side hustles because she doesn't want to work in retail anymore. And, of course, I'm like bells and whistles are going off in my head going, oh, my God, you'd be perfect about Mary Kay. She's from Columbia, bilingual, all of that. So who comes to mind? Write their names down. Now, I want to have a conversation with you that you can have with them on how you could plant a seed. Because remember, if they help create it, they're much more open to the possibilities. And if you say, I think you'd be great, watch this video, I want to sign you up on my team. They're like, wait, what? And some will. The high personalities just don't want to be left out. So they might say, great, where do I sign? But a lot of people are going to say, I don't have time right now. I've got to do my taxes. I don't have any money. I'm really stressed out, whatever's going on in their life. So what if you could have these conversations? So I want you to write a few phrases down. Write down the phrase, I'm curious. Just write that down. And I'm going to give you another phrase. What if you could ... right? And so the conversation might sound something like this. Like the lady I met yesterday, her name is Diane, which is very close to my name, so that was super easy to remember. So I have a phone appointment with her today, even though I met her yesterday. And I would say, Diana, tell me, what do you love the most about having all these side businesses, like the dog thing, and then she's got a couple other businesses that she's, dabbling in just to make money. And I'm going to ask her, what does she like the best? And she's going to tell me something. Then I'm going to say, what else? And she's hopefully going to tell me something else. And I'm going to keep going. Well, other than that, what else? To the point where then eventually she won't have an answer, right? She'll say, well, that's it. I'll say, okay. So I say, what if you could take your experience in the cosmetic industry, she's also beautiful, which not required, but it doesn't hurt, and say, well, what if, or I'm curious, is probably what I'd say. I'm curious as to whether you miss the skincare glamour industry. Because she said, I used to love when I worked there. I loved all the makeup. I loved all that stuff. And if she says yes, then I'm going to say, so what do you miss? Oh, I miss the makeup. I miss the people. I miss this. I miss that. I'd say, well, what if you could have that and be your own boss? We make a 50% commission. Now, I mentioned that to her last night, and her eyes lit. She goes, because she's used to working retail where they might make 1%, 2%, or 3%, depending if they're the counter manager, plus they make an hourly rate. And she goes, you make 50%? I said, yes. And she's like, oh, my God, I had no idea. And I said, well, it may not be for you, but I feel like you're a very smart businesswoman and you would at least want all the facts before you make a decision. Now, what I'm doing is letting her know that I acknowledge that she's smart, right? And that I think she'd be great at this, and say I take a lot of pride in who I share this opportunity with, and I think you might be great. Normally, it's $35 to do a virtual start and $90 for the starter bag. I said, but right now it's only $10 to start, so which is insane. So all I'm saying is that it's possible. If you would have a conversation with 5 people, now if you're super new and you're listening to this and just the thought of having that conversation scares you, then I suggest you reach out to your director and say, I really want to have this conversation. I just don't know how. Or call your director and say, I listened to Diane's call. I made a list of 5 people. Can you and I go over these 5 people and help me figure out how I talk to them? I guarantee your director will be thrilled to do that. Okay? So I want you guys to take this. Take your 5 people. Remember, you want her to chase you. I don't chase people. People chase me. And I say that all the time. So you're going to just basically say to these people, well, what if? Because you want her to say, well, maybe Mary Kay's a good fit for me. And you're like, yeah, maybe it is. And let's talk about that, right? So she's helping create this life that she wants instead of you selling her on what's possible. Does that make sense? All right, you guys, have a blessed day, and thanks for calling in.